Martin, welcome to episode 42 of Illuminating Rounds. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. 42. It's been my age soon, won't it? If we keep going
Depends on
like
which base you're counting in. I think we've long both gone past 42 these days. We both celebrated birthdays. Did you do anything nice for yours?
Well, where I live, you may have heard about this little thing called coronavirus, and no, we got a take. Me and the kids got a takeaway, and they got me some presents at work. So
Right.
I had a really nice time actually.
Yeah. You may have just seen my new puppy running around there, so that's why the door's open now to keep him kind of entertained.
Was he a birthday present?
He was not a birthday. He should have been, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's I should introduce him to Monty. He's a golden doodle. Doesn't really live up to his name of a golden doodle, but his name's Monty Montgomery.
And actually, people watching this should know that I saw him a week or two ago, and he was literally the size of his head. He's grown enormously.
He absolutely, and constantly chewing something that I can't work out what it is. It's always, and he looks at me as if there's nothing in his mouth at all. I root around with my finger and all sorts to find it. Nothing in there, and then suddenly he walks away, and he's doing it again. There's something crunching. 2 seconds.
So feel free to come back in about 5 minutes, viewers.
While I wipe off the slobber. So I did he's crunching something. I try to think what it is. It's like every single one of my bits. Like it could be a concealment counter. It could be a dice. It's horrendous. I got a few nice presents as well. I got a nice pair of boots from. This is the good thing about getting having older children that suddenly can. Look at these for a nice pair of presents. Like nice trendy pair of boots.
Excuse me.
And I got a
very nice. Why do you keep them on your desk, Dave?
Because I have a dog. Is the exact reason why. Everything now has to be. It's like how like in some parts of the world you have to build houses on stilts because otherwise you're going to get flooded or whatever. Everything is raised up in this house 3 feet. The safest area is above the stairs where you can't climb the stairs right now. So that's.
I got a map, and do you know what? Funny enough, I think partly why I like ASL is I really like maps.
Right.
But at work, they got me a map centred on my house, an ordnance survey one in 25,000.
Right. Yep.
And they personalised it with the picture of me when I had that red face. I think you might have put it on one of the IR things at some point. Personalised it with that. Thanks very much there.
Right. I might be able to shut the door now. 2 seconds.
Okay,
so let's talk about the Lock of Colmar, which was this week's kind of game that we're going to look at, and that 3 pairings played for the preliminary round to bring us down to 16 players. It's from La Francière. It's from the cellar number 9, which is an excellent magazine, excellent set of scenarios. Very interesting scenario, Martin, isn't it? So we've got the Germans defending against Free French and Americans, attacking from both sides.
I think they attack from one side. I think
both sides. But
right, yes, that's right. Because there's some Americans on board at the beginning who are on the other side of the Germans. You're absolutely right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And what's really interesting about the scenario, I think, from the perspective of the setup, is that the attacking side is set up first with that kind of like small force, aren't they? And then you have to kind of defend against that from the Germans kind of the left hand side as we're going to look at it, and then you've got the kind of the Americans and the Free French coming on the right hand side as well. And obviously it's an interesting tank battle. You made a really good point, and I think we're going to talk about this during the game. The tanks aren't going to win or lose the game for you, and they can be a big distraction. But they really do make a difference to the scenario. So we're gonna look at those three games. Before we get into that, I want to talk to you about whether we are in the golden age of not only wargaming but ASL. What's your thoughts about this? This was a topic on Game Squad that's came up recently. What are your thoughts?
Well, I tell you. So I don't know. I haven't thought deeply about this, but I saw a message on Facebook from a well-known British ASL player, Ben Jones, who took a photograph of the number of people who are playing games on Vassal at the moment that he happened to go on. and there were dozens
Yeah, yeah,
of live games at that moment. Now, obviously, allowing for the fact that that's partly because of lockdowns and people can't meet face to face, I think that does say something about the health of the hobby.
right.
And it was really only a few years ago people were consigning it to history and saying, look, we're all getting older.
Yeah,
Like me and you were the youngsters,
yeah,
and it'd be dying out. That's almost literally, and that's doesn't seem to be the case,
right.
does it? I mean, so there's a
Yeah,
couple of things massively. I mean, obviously, the internet was a massive thing, wasn't it, for wargaming and ASL? Vassal has been a massive thing, but it does seem to be taking off at the moment. I hate to say golden age because I want to see it.
right.
This is our best days are ahead. I like to
Yeah.
think. But,
That's the interesting point, isn't it? Because when is it ever going to get better? I mean, I think in terms of the whole situation is pretty much the scenarios are done and dusted. I think in terms of we're always going to get better, and there'll be other scenarios. But in terms of like what we now need to play pretty much any theatre, it's there already now. And I don't know how we get better than this. I know we'll get some great stuff, and we've both ordered Manila, and that's we're excited about that. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm not so excited about the line of sights that apparently are going to be on the whole thing. And we know there's a few other modules in the making, but is it going to be, because I don't think there's going to be any really more core modules. I can't see there being any more core modules being produced. So we've got action packs and we've got new boards and things like that. But if you said to me, okay, there's never going to be any more ASL ever produced, we all know we've got enough to get us going.
Yeah.
So is it the fact of we're not bringing in new opponents and new players? But I question, do we really need that in terms of, I think everyone, of course, the hobby needs that, and that's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. But we've got so much good stuff now. It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, we've got the electronic rule book, in its form that it currently is. Do we need anything more? Is there anything missing from this? Everything is now just, it's veneer, isn't it? It's just great stuff on top of great stuff. But do we need more?
It's such a good question, isn't it? I mean, really, I think for me, I mean, realistically, you could probably sit down and play ASL for a good few hours every day for the rest of your life, and you wouldn't have to repeat much, but you'd want to repeat stuff because you'd have like favourites and things you'd want to have another go at, wouldn't you? I think you could very easily do this. I don't think it's hugely a case of bringing out new things, and I don't know what they can do to do something that's kind of like novel and interesting without just inventing a new game in a way. What I think there is room for is bringing in new people. Now, I think it's fine to say, well, look, there's plenty of people. I think that's true. But I think it's quite exciting when you have like well-attended large tournaments. I mean, in the UK, I remember the old ones in Blackpool, Bournemouth. Sorry, the ones in Bournemouth used to be quite big events. There would be quite a lot of guys there, and that kind of like fell off a little bit, I think. And Double One picked up. It's good to have a good sort of tournament scene. Choices of players and new people to meet and stuff like that. Right. Also, I think the thing is, like, from a purely personal point of view, is I kind of feel like I haven't even really started my ASL career properly yet. I'm waiting to pack up work and sort of like do things that I find interesting. So
right.
I don't know.
I was talking to one of our guys, one of our patrons, about this in terms of and they were saying, oh, have you completed Journal 11 yet, or something like that? And I was thinking, I might play 2 scenarios from Journal 11. If you think about, if we've got 50 years left, and let's be honest, we probably haven't got 50 years left, because I don't think I'm getting to 98.
I'm 54. Yeah,
you might do, but I'm not going to. But anyway, that gives us about 17,000 days left, right?
Yeah,
and there are. I looked at the scenario archive.
That for me.
Yeah, just going to remind you. So, if you think about that, so there are about 8,000 or so scenarios on the scenario archive, and we know that's not quite all of them, but it's it's a pretty much fair number of how many scenarios are there. That's a scenario a day, every day, each side for the rest of our lives. We can do that. We have enough to do that.
And you think we'll be playing when we're like 99 and things like that?
I want to see you play at 99. Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's, what can we do to, what do we need more of at this point now? I mean,
Yeah.
we don't need any changing rules.
We don't need
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. We've got it now, and so this has to be the golden age in terms of. I think we've got everything we could ever ask for.
Yeah, and actually, it's not just that there's a scenario to play each side for the rest of your life. The fact is that some of the campaign games would take weeks to play, wouldn't they? And actually, I'm up for doing one or two of those at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and that also avoids. We've mentioned this before, but nobody at the moment now really gets to do deep studies on scenarios. We don't get to do that whole let's play 2, 3, 4 times same scenario and really finish it down to. On the flip side, I guess that some scenarios have been published more than once, and certainly that 8,000 scenarios is going to be there's going to be a number of duplicates. We know that whatever scenario has been produced in a few times in a few different magazines, maybe with slight changes. Acts of Defiance is a good example of scenarios that we'll see 2 or 3 variations. But what have you not played that you want to play more of in terms of ASL? What have you not scratched the surface of that you're looking for?
Well, I suppose one thing would be deserts, for example. I mean, I played deserts a couple of times with you, but there's so much in deserts that I haven't really experienced. So I think that would be quite an interesting thing to kind of dip into.
Yeah,
I love seaborne assaults, and I know you haven't got a huge amount of time for them, and I can see that it's very niche. The nichest hobby that I could possibly have had in life. It's the nichest element of it. But I've played 2 or 3, and I think they're great. I think they're absolutely smashing. I'd like to, and there aren't many of those actually. There are not many of those. I suppose you've got Tarawa as a big seaborne sort of campaign game, haven't you? And you've got things like Omaha East and things like that, which kind of feature a lot of sort of seaborne landings. But there actually aren't very many official scenarios.
And we have some news about that. We've got some news about seaborne assault that you're gonna talk about at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to teach Toby some lessons in.
So Toby and you are going to play. I might end up being a neutral commentator, or at least and I'm going to see how you guys get on. You're going to take that on. And I should also mention your excellent tabletop talks. So you've done a fantastic job of the training pack scenario number 2. So for those that don't know, for the Patreons, you can get a pack of 4 training scenarios. These are not necessarily balanced, although we think they're fairly well balanced, but they may not. I wouldn't hold them up to tournament play.
No.
And you are going to make a series of 4 to start with, I hope, tabletop talks where you're going to play both sides and you're going to talk about tactics. And you do a great job. You're a natural teacher.
And rules, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And because you're a natural teacher, you have a very good style about you that comes across it's very watchable. So I would recommend, if anybody hasn't seen your tabletop talks, to take a look. It's on our YouTube channel.
I do very much aimed at new players. It's very much aimed at new players. Yeah.
But as I say, I'm not a new player, and I get enthralled by them. I watch and I root for the Germans. I root for the Russians. I watch out as we all do. We watch out for the mistakes that are made, and it happens. We know that we make mistakes when there's 2 eyes on the game. So there's no, don't feel like anybody's poking holes at.
No, not at all.
Very difficult. It's very difficult.
I was pleasantly surprised that it was only about 12 errors pointed out.
It's incredible. We even played the wrong gun in the last scenario we played. I don't think it made any difference at all. I'm hoping it didn't. But I think we should point out every person that plays ASL is going to make how many mistakes? 5, 10, 20 in a game, and it's part of the game, isn't it? I mean, it's part of the game. We do strive.
Some people are much much more careful than us.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
But I think everyone makes it so easy to make mistakes. Yeah. And actually, one of the things about when you're playing both sides and trying to comment is that you haven't got all of your brain focused on applying the rules correctly. I mean, I felt really awkward because I very near the end of the game, actually, I fired a machine gun and was very, very aware that it fixed its covered arc. But the very next Russian that moved, of course, the machine gun flipped around and fired at them. And of course, that was very glad people point that kind of thing out. Yeah. It's just so easy to make. You've got your mind on other things,
And don't underestimate. I mean, not that you would, but people shouldn't underestimate the difficulty of when you're filming yourself or on camera effectively. There is this kind of tendency to it's very difficult to focus on 2 things naturally. And I know I saw Darren Brown, who's in the UK. He's kind of like a magician's the wrong word for him, but kind of like a psychological
It's a
kind of
hypnotist, isn't he?
yeah. Does
Hypnotist, yeah.
all that kind of. And he
It's very
demonstrated.
famous.
Yeah, he demonstrated the idea of when you put a camera in someone's face, their part of their brain goes a little bit detached, and he was showing on London Underground, if you thrust a camera in people's face with a microphone there and you say, "What stop are you getting off at?" They couldn't remember. It was bizarre. It's really, and I felt for you because it was the bit where you were trying to add up the numbers for the close combat. And I know you made the big edit at the end.
Yeah.
And that's something that it's so easy to see when you're watching it, but when you're recording it, like when we're playing our stuff, you kind of forget, and you just it's all kind of like it's in the mind and everything. So I think you did a brilliant job. I think it's a very, very impressive thing.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave.
No, good stuff. So, and I'm really looking forward to number 3 because that's my scenario that I've done.
Absolutely, yeah. The next 2 are yours, aren't they? So they're following the starter kit. So the next one is tanks, which you designed, and then there's one in the jungle, which is your design as well, Japanese. And I'm looking forward to doing them. And I shall do the next one. I'm intending over the Easter holiday, which starts in a week. I have 2 weeks to get around to it. I had all sorts of hiccups with the last one.
That's fine. And I think it's what's interesting about the next one is, and it may not make for as good a demonstration as your previous ones, because I think they were really good. Your previous ones had a really good example of simple victory conditions and like, how do we go for those victory conditions, and this one now is adding an element of you've got a kind of an options of what are you going to do. So I'm intrigued because when you're playing a scenario against someone where you've got multiple options of how to win, the opponent doesn't necessarily know what you're going for. And so you can kind of feign and you can kind of, duck one way and go the other way. I'm intrigued to see how you're going to get on with this one. So I'm looking forward to it from a very selfish point of view. Okay, good stuff. Let's talk the Lock of Colmar. So I'm going to pull up now the scenario here. And we are going to focus on the first game, which was Dave Marisk's game. Now, his opponent didn't have the best of times, and so kind of asked not to be named on this one. So that's fine. We're gonna kind of respect that. We've all had bad games. I know I have. What we're going to look at here is the kind of the general situation. So the Germans here are defending. They have 10 squads. 548s, majority are 467 first lines, and there's a couple of conscript squads in there, and they have 2 decent tanks. They've got the Panther, and they have a Stug. So in this game, we've got one of these is a dummy, and attacking the force on the left hand side of as the Germans see it. There are 5 American squads, 466s and a 546, along with a medium, a bazooka, and an 8 leader, and some dummy counters. Although presumably these are all used as concealment. And we've got the on the right hand side, the Free French and the Americans are coming on, and they are effectively 6 548 squads. There's a 667, a 666, and 5 Shermans coming on. 2 of those Shermans can have gyro stabilizers. So it's an interesting setup. Germans can have a fortified building, and they can have 1 set of units hip. The victory conditions are that the Allies have to win by getting 4 victory points, and you can see the victory points are effectively the rubble on the top of the hills here, and 4 of the multi-hex buildings on the main part of the board. So, Martin, what's your thoughts on the defence of this one?
Yes, so these with the 5 victory points, obviously the Germans, in order to win, need to hang on to 2 of those victory points, and of course, because they're all sort of stone buildings, I guess what the Germans are going to do is just make it difficult, costly, time-consuming for the Americans to capture these buildings. You've also got this one up on the hill in the as we're looking at it upwards on board.
Yep.
On the hill board. And the interesting thing about that position is it's actually much harder to get to than it at first appears.
Right.
As you've got the ground snow, makes it much more costly to go
Yep.
up the
Yep.
slopes, and a lot of these slopes are double crest lines, so it's phenomenally costly. The vehicles can't go up them,
Right.
up them at all.
Right.
So it's possible to kind of like hang on to that, I think, or at least force the Americans to commit quite a bit to going to capture it.
Right.
Very strange on that left-hand side, because on the left-hand side, it's the Americans are, the Germans have got to sort of defend there, but the Americans are not in such incredible strength
Right.
that you couldn't almost have the Germans attacking on that side. It's kind of a little bit uncertain how to
Right.
play that, but I think almost certainly defending is the best thing for the Germans to do.
Right. And we talked before about the fact that this scenario is potentially needs a little bit of an errata, because there's a question about what the level of the hexes are at from off board, coming in off board, and we believe that there has been a clarification that says that the levels are as they are on the hill. So these are not ground level. So it's okay for the tanks to come up on hill level 4 or level 5. But it's probably worth clarifying with your opponent before starting that, because usually there's an SSR that will say that the hexside terrain or whatever continues off board to allow the tanks, for example, to be on that hill, which makes sense.
I'm pretty sure there has been some clarification for that. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, my opponent, Tom Rapetti, had designed this board, that hill board, so I felt like I was at a disadvantage from the start. But that was just an aside. So we're gonna zoom through Dave's game. Okay, so we're going to see here that Dave is defending with the Germans, and we're going to obviously we start with some prep firing from the Americans with the mortar.
Americans, yeah,
and there's a little bit of movement coming in, and we've got Americans now kind of approaching from both sides. This is the medium machine gun doing a good job here of breaking the first set of Americans that are running on, and keeping rate and breaking. And this is the whole problem with the attacking across open ground with the Americans, isn't it? The 6 morale is just brutal. Every morale check is generally a fail. The Free French making some progress down below. So the French now moving down on the bottom right. Start to see the foxholes, and on they come. Now it's worth mentioning it's 5.5 turns. It's really not a lot of time for the attacker
allies,
to do very much here, and they get to reveal some dummies up here, which is quite nice. And you've got the kind of the opening of the gates really around the bottom here. Now there's some unluckiness from a 6.6 and breaking the light machine gun at the front there.
Absolutely.
And the Free French and the Americans pushing quite hard. Okay, up the top here, the tanks are coming up, and this is difficult terrain, isn't it, for the tanks? There's snow in effect. There's not a lot of movement, and but it's a very exposed position up there for the medium machine gun. Now, did you put your medium up here as well? You were defending.
I did actually, yeah.
Yeah, and I did the same thing. So,
but it's just difficult to see like where the tanks can go. They can't go through crag. They can't go through double elevation changes, can they?
Right.
Now
this is a very tight line of sight here. On this hex row, on this hex side here on 06.
Yes.
Now up here, obviously he's a level higher, and that's fine. And we've got the Panther is able to swing its turret and take the shot. Now I had my Panther in the same position. You'll see. And Dave gets a 3 on this. Checks the line of sight. It's good, and destroys it with a 5, and gets a blazing wreck. And that's a big result straight away, because the Panther now is kind of covering that entire area, isn't it? It's pretty brutal. The good news, I suppose, is that the Sherman has a nice shot on the side if it can see over this this hill, these trees here, which I imagine they probably can. But Dave manages to keep rate, and has has destroyed that one as well. And that's pretty grim.
That is pretty grim.
So yeah.
And do you know what? So I mean, looking now, it's this is a nice flanking position for the tanks on the hill.
Right.
Really.
Right.
It's not worked out at all with those sorts of dice rolls.
Exactly. But yeah, exactly. If you can get your tanks around here, especially with some tanks in the front and in the side against the Panther, as I find out, it can be pretty brutal. Americans regrouping. The French pushing forward. And I know how the American player must feel here, because it is just demoralising when you've got to push forward with those 6 morale troops and you've lost 2 tanks. The Panther's on the attack now.
Yes. Yeah.
This is your favourite kind of move.
He's not going to get a third, is he? Not in one go.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
So there's some firing going back on again. We get some smoke there, which is nice. This is good here from the plenty of smoke going up there. Germans able to kind of skulk away a little bit. And what else are we going to see here? Got a bit of a battle here. We got the smoke coming from the Panther, and the Sherman kind of runs away from it.
This is the Allied turn 2 now.
Yes, yeah.
So that'd be prep fire smoke.
But the Sherman gets away.
Yeah.
There was an intensive fire shot as well there from the Panther. And the French making some progress there. And this is the difficulty of this scenario, because you kind of get compressed, don't you? The Germans get compressed, and it's a question of how much can they hold on to. And my difficulty was not having enough in the centre. So although I got compressed, if you can get round the sides of the Germans here, it's quite difficult. That's nice use of the free French counters here.
Yes, I was thinking that actually, because we use the British, the traditional British counters, but this is a nice touch.
So the Stug reveals itself up here. So, and again, I mean, you're just sitting there. I know the Americans feel like there's just no way forward now. You've got these guys here which have come back well from the rally, and they've made it across, but now in front of the Panther.
It's interesting if you're one of those American soldiers, and the best thing you can say about today is we're now right in front of the Panther.
Yeah, but it does open the door up. This is the door, doesn't it? This is the nice swarming attack here. Yeah, Park's right next door. I mean, this is and then we get a double 6 against the poor wounded leader here. Bunch of broken Americans, and this attack here is petering out, isn't it? I wonder whether the Americans are best served by just holding that force as a threat on that left-hand side.
I think there's probably a very good case to be made for that. It's pinning down so much force,
Yeah.
isn't it?
The Panthers taken out though with good tactics there.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's half the battle, isn't it? Here with the scenario. Okay, so we are now on to we're on to turn 2 for the Axis.
It must be a nice feeling getting rid of that Panther, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Such a dangerous. And then suddenly the Shermans can be quite useful in that kind of infantry support role, which they're kind of really good at without knowing that there's something that can kill them on a.
Yep.
You know, if they roll, if the Germans roll a 27, it'll still kill their tanks, can't it?
These Americans don't quite make it to the Stug with the bazooka. And
they've still got an advance, presumably.
I think they're broken.
Oh no, they're in the German phase now. So yeah.
Get some sniper activity. But the thing now is that this machine gun up on the hill is now free, although it's smoked in. It is free to kind of try and help out with the defence a little bit. So we've got some more pushing from the Americans, but as you can see, the American kind of attackers has kind of run out of steam, isn't it, on the right hand side?
Yeah.
Americans prep firing here. French pushing in and finding the dummy counter.
You have sort of got pressure on both sides though now, which is that first building.
Yeah, exactly.
And the second building doesn't look very well defended, does it? In the J7 position.
That's it. And I think in this scenario, the Germans can fall very quickly. You know, if the French can get round into the middle of that, the J building, you know, it's relatively straightforward to get in there. We're on turn 3 here.
Yeah.
And we've got the blaze. The guys are going under the tank there. Some interdiction now. Yeah, the Germans holding out in the centre. It's the conscripts' job here to hold out. Did you have the conscripts in the middle here as well? Or did you?
Do you know? I can't remember. I put the conscripts.
Okay.
We shall see.
Yes. Yeah. We'll find out together. So the Stug's now able to run around the back.
Yeah. Dangerous though, because the Stug is penetratable, isn't he? And his sides are very weak, and and he's outnumbered there. So
but it's a nice move, isn't it? It's a very aggressive move for the Germans to swing around the back, keep this guy DM'd at the back as well. It's very creative. And all right, so what's going on now?
There's a lot of French broken.
Yeah, so we've got and this is the kind of demoralising part where you're kind of your guys are doing very well now are just having to retreat away.
I did have a conscript in J7 actually.
Right. Okay. Now we get some wind coming in.
Yeah, that's a.
Yeah, now the Americans pushing in. So we're on turn 4 here. American turn 4.
And the Americans have got to push, haven't they? The
yes.
Americans have got to push.
And now the tanks heading back to attack each other. Some intensive firing going on. I don't intensify enough. Do you, Martin?
No, I don't think I do. I intensify when it's desperate.
Right. Yeah, I was playing Tom this week, and his use of final protective fire I think because he was figuring that he was going to be breaking anyway, he's going to voluntarily break them. So just final protective firing anyway is something I don't do enough of.
Yeah. It's surprising how often the best thing to do is to break yourself, even though it feels like you're doing the enemy's job for them.
Yep.
If they're going to get destroyed there, they might as well rout away.
Exactly. And the Germans are in pretty good order here, aren't they? You can see that the Americans are going to struggle here.
So although I think they look like they're going to capture the first building, there's still units nearby, isn't there? Still mopping up to do before they can even really move on to the other buildings.
Yeah, and the American French player called it here. So it's certainly, I think when the attack goes poorly at the start, just because of some good rate of fire from both the Panther and the machine gun, it absolutely takes the wind out of the sails of everything, doesn't it? Right. Okay then. So on to my game next then. So here we go. Hang on. Okay. So here's my game against Tom Rapetti. So I'm the defending Germans. So we can talk a little bit more understandably about this one. So my fortified location is in 71G4, alongside the medium machine gun and a 9-1. So my hope is that Tom will fire into these guys here, my dummies. I realise they're dummies, and then he's going to just run straight into E4, thinking it's completely safe, and maybe F4, and then maybe even F3. Maybe even I'll get a cheeky shot here with my medium machine gun and destroy him in the streets. That's the plan over here. As you can see, very little in the centre. Probably a mistake, but my idea is to be quite strong in the on the right hand side, fall back. This is potentially a mistake here. I've got a foxhole and a half squad in a foxhole next to the roadblock. So the idea here is that I might get a Panzerfaust or something, but the roadblock effectively preventing anyone kind of coming down the bottom of the map. As I mentioned, we've got the foxhole, which is illegally placed, so we take the foxhole off in the rubble up on the top of the hill, and we've got the Stug here in M2, and we've got the Panther in O4. We've got another dummy guy in O6 to keep Tom guessing, and that's pretty much it. I think the idea being that the conscripts are kind of towards the rear of the defence. These guys will kind of hopefully fall back to the victory conditions in J5 and be like kind of like the last stand. They're not in the front line at least. So that's what happens. We can see some prep firing going on to start with, and straight away some opportunity firing. From Tom, and he's straight off into the movement. So he's throwing smoke in front of these dummies. He's moving into them, and the tanks are off at the top of the screen as well. Now I chose not to fire just yet at the CE tanks, just because why would I waste the shots? But the riders here, you can see there's a couple of half squad riders on board, which is a nice move. Gives you a couple of rolls of getting the under 8 for a bailout attempt. The bazookas are coming, and here I was absolutely rabbing at headlights. I didn't know what I should be shooting at. The Panzerschreck obviously is the worst defender up here. I kind of figured that there might be some tanks kind of sitting around the middle of the board, and that I would wait for them. But consequently, I was kind of like just absolutely stuck here. So Tom sees the roadblock here. I obviously can't fire my Panzerfaust, even if I had one, because I can't see this tank here because of being in a foxhole.
Yes.
So the medium machine gun opens up on the nice target here, the juicy
malfunctions.
Yeah, first roll.
Fantastic.
So on come the French with impunity. And again, I'm like, well, okay, if I fire once, that wasn't great. This is getting awkward because this is now going to be a side shot on the Panther.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my goodness, like Tom's already around the back. It's pretty grim. Panther finally decides he's got to do something. Get a double one of them to kill. It's Blaze. So now here's the first kind of big kind of question about the game was this line of sight here. Now, if you look at this to me looks for all the world like a plateau effect, and Tom played this perfectly, and absolutely no criticism at all of Tom. So he stopped here and tried to go for a hold down attempt in P4 and didn't get his roll, and I said to him, oh well, you can't really see anything there anyway, don't worry about it. And he kind of tactfully just kept quiet. And I kind of thought, well, I don't want to say to him, maybe he's missed the fact that this is not on level 3. Maybe he thinks this is on level 3 because it kind of looks like it might be a level 3 type hill. And I didn't want to sort of push the point, so I thought, okay, well, I won't say anything. Now I've kept rate of fire with the Panther, and my question now is, do I swing and fire at this tank? But I know that
you think it's
I think it's outline of sight. Yeah, exactly. So I think, okay, well, I can't shoot at it. So I think I end up trying to take a shot of the infantry instead here. And what can I do? I mean, that's the kind of thing. So now I'm starting to worry about, well, actually, if I start up and move, am I going to get myself into danger? If I turn the whole tank, it's a bog check in there. Bogging in there is going to be pretty grim because I'm going to get swarmed by the bazooka quite quickly.
But you can't reverse out without getting a shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here Tom calls the shot, and I mean, we can look at the line of sight. It's great. It's a great line of sight. It's very tight, but it's perfect.
But it's perfect. Yeah.
And of course, I should say, well, Tom drew the ball. I mean, but clearly he didn't draw both balls, so I can't criticise. But yeah, it's a properly good line of sight. A great spot from Tom.
Yeah. Amazing.
So he gets a stun attempt, and I pass the stun. So it's or past the possible shock.
Yeah.
So we've kind of saved for a second or so. These guys now got to try and figure out what to do about the tank that's coming up to them. My Panzerschreck guy has. I mean, what's he going to fire at? It's just all going horribly wrong already. Meanwhile, the guys at the back here have had a shot going against them from the sniper. Obviously, my sniper's doing a bit of work back here. Now, Tom wrote an AAR about this. Tom hit I had 13 sniper checks on the sniper activations, and there will be a point where he actually knocks my sniper down to a 2, and I still get 3 sniper activations. So it is
a double-edged sword, isn't it? Though, because if you're getting lots of sniper activations, it's because your opponent is rolling 2s, 3s, and 4s, isn't it?
And to Tom's credit, he was rolling superbly well. I was rolling better on my morale checks. He was rolling brilliant shots, 3s and 4s and stuff, and I was passing morale checks non-stop.
Yeah.
These guys here now, there was a bit of a question here about, am I going to drop my concealment here to spot some guys? And in the end, I decide I have to. I'm going to effectively just going to try and have the shot here against these guys. So I figured, well, I might as well drop concealment at some point. So take the shot into these guys here, just pinning them, and already, I mean, it's looking quite grim. I passed some morale checks in the 45 building, and the Sherman takes another shot at the Panther and knocks it out. So this is the personal morale check now is wavering already, thinking, okay, I've only taken 1 tank out with the Panther, but my guys back here have already broken from a shot from the tanks up here. And those guys are going to have a sad game of it for the entire duration, really. Good shot on the white phosphorus from Tom, failing the morale check, and we see the crew here, the best performing crew. I mean, these guys, breaking all sorts of things.
It's a lovely feeling getting all you guys into the wood, into the tree line, isn't it?
That's right.
The infantry reach the target.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see now Tom's kind of going to perform a bit of a pincer maneuver. Going to come kind of around the top and around the bottom here. And we're we're struggling here. The Sturg, we named them after West Ham players, and Tom named them after famous baseball players, I believe. So, do you know who's Swoboda and who's that? Harrelson? Do you know those guys? No.
I'm not a big into baseball.
You're not,
or even West Ham, for that matter.
That's true. It did him the world of good. Let me tell you, they were doing well, these guys. So what happens here?
I used to go out drinking when I was a very young man in East Ham quite frequently.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's where your roots are, then. You see. All right. So what are we doing? We're kind of falling back. Already having to abandon the 45. Look, I mean, this is just skulking away. I mean, I'll be back in there.
You're obviously moving back in, yeah.
But
you are moving back relatively early out of quite key positions, aren't you? And
that's it. Yeah. The Americans are already into the stone building here. There's a dummy counter here, which is possibly my best performing unit in the whole scenario. Just keep an eye out on that dummy unit for its effect in the game.
He's capturing the hill. There's nothing you can do to stop that. Really,
breaking my guys around the top here. So even this guy here, which was coming up for a cheeky Panzerfaust here.
Yeah.
Tom breaks his main armament, but absolutely doesn't worry at all. Yeah. The roadblock effect has had no effect at all. Just the tank just swings around like it wasn't there.
Took it in its stride.
Yeah, exactly. Those hedges now stopping me see everything. You can see that the massive French and American troops are going to get into this middle building, and I mean already it's looking grim.
Yeah.
The tanks are in the middle of the board.
Yeah.
Notice those dummy counters are still holding out though. They can't claim the break-in of the F2 guys, but they certainly were there to see it. And Tom's very careful here. He played a really careful game.
Very professional.
Didn't jump into close combat to try and see to risk the ambush or anything here. I'm pulling back. These guys get disrupted back here. And I mean, at this point, it's pretty much lost already. There's just no easy way of pulling back. These the guys down in L10 looking all the way across the road means that these guys in the building here now just can't get back across.
Yeah.
My conscript guys in H6 don't have the movement points to get back to the building.
No.
Which is the biggest mistake and the biggest problem with the conscripts, relying on them to actually move back to that building. Yeah. And the issue here is that the Americans are going to beat them to that building, so they can only get to this building here, or to this area here. The poor British or the poor French guys didn't manage to jump off the tank in good order, but it almost won't matter. The Americans will get there before these guys will ever self-rally. So this is interesting. We had Tom breached the building here with his tank, bogging it in the process. But it was interesting because actually where the breach actually happens is along the hex spine of where the tanks come in from the bypass. So actually, they still can't advance in, even though the tank's in there now. They still
I
can't
see.
get in.
Yeah. Mm.
But nevertheless, the demo charge then also
Yeah.
can't do it. Hasn't got enough movement points. So, I mean, again, not that it really matters at this point. Riders are able to jump along next to the building, and you can see here it's pretty much all over. The Germans aren't gonna be able to hold back in. The
No.
you know, this fortified location is still okay.
Yeah.
Even the dummies have been revealed at this point, so it's clearly all over for the Germans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is where we call it. I can't get enough back.
You can't recapture, no.
No, exactly. So that's me. So Tom's into the next round. We actually did play. We played a best of 3, but this was the key one. So I'm happy for Tom. He's in the next round. So you can give me abuse this round for falling at the first hurdle. Let's see if you can do better. All right, Martin. So let's see now how you got on against Rob McGinley of PBM. You played this play by mail.
Yes, so it was a very, very different experience playing it that way. I set up as the Germans. Obviously, the Americans will set up that small group first. A lot of things quite similar about my defence. I've got the medium machine gun up on the hill, but I do have an 8-0 leader. And I've also got some foxholes up there, so they could potentially get out of line of sight and rally and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Out of line of sight. I've got the tanks obviously very differently positioned.
Yes.
And I've not attempted to hide what they were.
Yeah.
I wanted to use the the dummies for infantry. And the one so people will know where I've put things. The roadblock is in M5. I wanted to try and protect the back of that position from the tanks kind of like coming around and encircling the sort of N4, N5 building.
Right.
The fortified building is in 71J6. So this is just the calculation that might be, a key building towards the end of the game. And they've got nothing in E7, which I thought was a mistake, actually. But, we'll see what happens as Rob's forces come on.
Right. So I'm intrigued. So you did a hold down maneuver. That's like a pre-game, but before the game starts, you do that.
And I think you get, I don't know if it's 1 or 2,
right?
Added to your dice roll, subtracted from your dice roll. It's certainly beneficial to do it before you start playing. If I did it with both tanks, but they still didn't manage to get anything. But
it's a really bold move. It's a bold move to have them both unconcealed. I like it. It's like a "here I am, come and get me" kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And it's very forward, isn't it? That's right. That's but anyway, we'll see how it plays out. Okay, right. This isn't moving forward.
Yeah, it's go.
Is it still moving forward?
Yeah.
No.
Are you click the? Yeah, it's moving. It's in deployment.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the Americans go straight off for a bit of a charge over on the left-hand side, and then the tanks come out. Now, I thought Rob's use of these tanks was very impressive. I get quite a nice shot from the medium machine gun. Break those guys in the street. They hit the tanks coming out there. I think this is because it's a log file. I think we sometimes get some order.
Yes.
Some of the orders get muddled up.
And Rob's done a great job of putting it all together. So presumably this is
Absolutely.
over days and days, isn't it? Yeah.
This would have been hard work, I think. Yeah. But you can see the tanks forming up over on that side to sort of support the infantry when they get there.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good move on his part, and of course it takes advantage of the fact that my tanks are nowhere near there. They can't intervene with. He's free to move his tanks into these positions, isn't he?
That's right.
If I just hold my finger down, it just moves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So all those tanks coming out all together in strength. Well, that was really good.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I did think is it's remarkable how difficult it is to move on that hill.
Yep.
It's slower than you realise. In fact, me and Rob kept remembering to count the count the movement factors properly, because it's very difficult.
You've just pointed out a rule to me that we certainly missed in our game. So tanks can't move up and down double elevations. So
Correct.
So in hexes like this one here up in 06, they're not coming down.
It makes it very difficult to move armor in those hills. It's because between the crag and the double crest hex sides, it's very, very limited where the tanks can move. As well as the fact that they move more slowly as well. Okay, so I've revealed the tank behind the. Oh, I've moved the tank, haven't I? So we're now in the Axis turn. That's right. So we reposition the Stug. I thought I had to move the Stug, but it leaves this Panther very, very exposed.
Right.
The American's making a little bit of progress into the building on the left-hand side. He's got a half squad in there. I think I figure I might be able to kind of get him out again, because it's just a half squad in close combat. His defensive fire is getting lots and lots of acquisition for those tanks to smoke me.
That was brutal. He had a 2 and a 3 on 2 acquisition shots.
Yeah. I mean, you can roll 12s on acquisitions, can't you?
Yeah.
So I do a little bit of moving around. I also have, this is actually a conscript in I7 who started out in the fortified building in J6, moved out just simply to skulk in case something fires at him, and then of course realised that he's going to CX.
That's right.
Move back into
same problem. Yeah.
Into the fortified building. Yeah. Okay, so we have so I advance in for the melee. Can't even remember how that went now. It's now his turn. So we're locked in melee. It's his turn now. It's not.
Did you have a sense for who was winning this at this point?
I think this game was close all the way through, and only at the very end, after you'll see it, a couple of little bits of luck really, which I think kind of like swung it my way.
Right.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
So anyway, no. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. So we've already got some smoke. I'm a little bit confused by the sequence. So this must be his turn. Yes. Okay. He's making a play. This is he mentioned the play for the Panther.
Right.
He's also got infantry on the hill that's perfectly capable of taking it out with bazookas and things like that from the side. Malfunctioned his main armament on that tank, and I think it's about to. Yeah, so that's the conscripts there, isn't it?
Yep.
But we see the French troops moving in on the right-hand side with all the smoke. They make a lot of progress on that side.
It's good use of smoke and white phosphorus there from Rob.
I thought it was outstanding. Is that he got loads and loads of smoke. So he's using the mortars, he's using the main armament, he was using it all to absolute maxing it.
Yeah.
Maximum.
You win the melee. Yeah.
I win the melee, that's right, in the American turn. That's right. So it's now my turn, and I'm taking my prep fire shot. Obviously, I'm firing at this at this tank. It was very, very interesting game with the tank, and it's not over there with the Panther. Not over yet. Trying to get side shots essentially, and me trying to avoid them or give him the shot, but hope he's going to miss, kind of thing. It's,
right.
It's just too many things to fire at. So this is my turn. This is defensive fire now. I think this is when he breaks the squad on the hill in W1. Sorry, 81 W5, and also the machine gun has already malfunctioned anyway. He loses the tank to a Panzerfaust from the conscripts in that was a couple of tanks down.
And did you applied your inexperienced use and the jumping out the building and all that kind of stuff?
When he was in the building when he took the shot.
Yeah.
I can't remember now.
No, it's fine.
All the modifiers were.
Yeah, no, it's
do conscripts have to pay inexperienced use?
I think so, but
do they? Maybe. Okay. Anyway, Now you're worrying me. Now I'm not sure that they did.
I'm sure they were fine. Rob would have caught it anyway.
So this is the yes. We're still in my turn, aren't we? Okay. So we got a little bit of advancing fire, and yeah, the roadblocks appeared. So I'm sort of using that stug to kind of protect the rear of that building.
Yeah.
The panther, I want to move him, but I can't move him because he's too busy having to sort of defend himself. Really, but it did occur to me that even if I lost the panther, he is drawing, the efforts and the energies of a fair portion of the allied force. He's in melee now. He's got into the woods. In fact, I got into melee. That's right. No, this is when I attacked. So 71p5.
Oh, you're on the attack again.
I moved in.
It's the Barker attack.
That's my absolute weakest thing. I kind of think I thought that I could do all right here, but of course we end up being locked in melee.
Right.
And actually, I think this is why we're locked in melee for quite some time, actually.
Yeah.
So it's the allied turn now, and he's pressing forward with his tanks again. We've got more phosphorus. It's just smoke everywhere. He sends another tank off, and of course these have got. Well, this one I think has got gyro stabilizers.
Right.
So it's a very, very real threat. And now I don't know it's got gyro stabilizers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
you've turned and fired it, have you?
Well, it looks like it, yeah. But of course he's still got infantry that's sort of moving. I'll say I think a couple of places the sequence seems a bit.
Yeah, it's
like, so he's moving.
Stuff.
Yeah. So I actually fire at the bazooka in N1, but I only fire with a coaxial machine gun.
Right.
I can't actually fire the bow machine gun because I'm hull down, and it's the bow machine gun that I use eventually to turn. That's right. Yeah. And I think once it's facing an American tank, it's essentially invulnerable, isn't it?
It's looking pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, the bazooka's probably just as bad, I think, there as well, isn't it? 15 to kill.
Yeah. I can't go forward again.
So turn 3, allied turn 3, is this?
Allied turn 3, this is, yeah. Is it moving?
No.
It's not, is it? No, okay. I'm going to have to go back to clicking, unfortunately.
I think just click once, and then I think you should be able to do
pace. Yeah, that's what. Oh, I know. Okay, we're okay. Yeah, okay. So we got 2 big melees going on in that building down there. Melee. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a fair commitment of French infantry into those actually.
Yep.
And of course they get locked in melee. Right. It's my turn now, and they're still there.
I guess that's good for you, isn't it? But it's
good for me, yeah. And they drag these melees. It's definitely good for me, really. Having said that, Rob is still systematically taking this building over, but I've now reinforced the J, the building in the J column. I've got nothing in the building on the bottom left-hand side, which I guess it's likely he's going to take. He's making a run now as well for the W, the one on the hill.
He's got to get there, hasn't he? I mean, that victory building it's difficult to get to without some smoke cover or something from exactly where he's going.
Absolutely. I still think I should have put at least a half squad in there or something. But he's using the tanks now to help with this attack on the left-hand side.
Right. Could have done a fire lane down there. I don't know if was that. Did you think about
that? No, I didn't think of that.
Just to stop them, stop them running across.
Yeah. So we got another major close combat building up. Oh no, I think I won that. It was right. The one in 71G3. I won that one. That's right. Yeah, this is still the other. This is now allied turn 4, isn't it? Okay. Yep. Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
But he captures that building.
And this is the double-edged sword of the. I know you're pinned here, so you should be all right. But the double-edged sword of having the vehicle in bypass there, which is it still it's still there somewhere, is it? Yeah. Is obviously infantry advancing in. Have a bad time ambushing. You've got the +2 for the vehicle in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you see, the thing is that these melees that are still going on are giving me a chance to sort of reposition and get
Right.
into good positions. He's got a squad moves in for the close combat in G3, but it's not absolutely the clear who's got the edge there. You know what I mean? It's not. He hasn't necessarily got the edge in that close combat.
So it looks like some of the close combat's getting resolved.
Right. Yes, that's right. But it costs him.
Yes. Yeah.
And we talk a little bit about just how unlucky he is with close combat.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, Rob's Achilles heel is.
Yeah. And the thing is that they lasted too long from his point of view, and that, it's a luck thing, isn't it? And but he also lost too much in them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And there are other big ones still going on.
Yeah.
So this conscript in L4 is significantly able to hold them up because there's not that many British.
Yeah.
Kind of French actually, moving forward.
Right.
So I still think that it's very much in the balance.
Yep.
He's probably going to almost certain to capture the one on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
He's captured 1, 2, 3. So essentially, he's got 4 in the bag. He's got 2. 1, 2.
So he's got the left-hand side one. He's got the bottom one. He's got the one at the top. He's going to get.
And the N4 one he's going to get.
Yeah.
So it's really starting to look like an Allied victory.
Yep.
He's got also a little battle going on at the bottom of the hill there. I'm trying to all sorts of things to try to stop him from being able to get up it. But in fact, it's the Panther, isn't it, that's providing a bit of firepower there to try to stop him from getting up that hill. But he's approaching it from both sides. I think I'm completely broken up there. So, the melee I win in on the left-hand side, which I think was very significant. That was very impactful.
And you took out the squad and the vehicle there?
No, the vehicle's still there.
Oh
no, the vehicle's been destroyed, hasn't it? I think I destroyed the vehicle when it moved in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the vehicle's been destroyed certainly. So this is the Allied last turn, isn't it? So they got a lot to do. There was, we missed a sniper. I didn't sort of spot it, but I think the unit in E5 was broken by my sniper, and that really gives the Germans the opportunity to recapture. Yeah, because he's actually got no unbroken units around the D2 sort of building.
Right.
And that's because of a very lucky sniper that took out a full squad.
Right.
And
that's you're going to get that one back,
yeah. That's what swung the game, really. But he does an incredible job of trying to swarm these different victory locations anyway, and can still pull it off. I was feeling quite confident at the beginning of his last turn, and went through several stages of panic. As he went through. Actually, it's not his last turn, is it?
So it's Allied 5, yeah.
Allied 5. He's got one more turn after this, yeah. But yeah, you see, he's pressing for these to get these locations. That's why we've got the close combats taking place now in the J building. Right, because some of that is because he's advanced into the fortified location. Of course, he's had to go back out.
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
So then it's a big game of how he's going to sort of break the units in that building.
Right.
But you see me.
Did you sneaky deploy there? Was that?
Yeah, I think so. So we're trying to recapture some of these buildings now.
Right.
Of course, it's difficult, and sending things to reinforce the building on the J line. So the Panther moves into a really good position. I take
the ESP.
Yeah, I go ESP to stop, and of course it immobilizes.
Well,
It's fine. That's intended to be its final resting place anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So all sorts of things he's trying to do to sort of to stop me from running back across the the road to get back to the building in E7, F7, but he eventually runs out of things to fire, and eventually I think I'm able to get in there.
Yep.
Tanks moving into position to attack his units that are capturing the J building. So it's and he loses the tank there as well in that building.
Right.
Yeah. So this is now it's his final turn, and so I don't think I recaptured the E7, F7 building, but I'm in control of 1, 2, 3. So he can still win by capturing one building.
Right.
And I think that's where he gives up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It looked like a very tight game, very close game.
It was a very tight game, and in fact, I think that sniper that broke that squad made all of the difference because it was so late in the game. And I was able to recapture that building, that D2 building. If I hadn't been able to do that, he would have won.
Well,
with this final position.
Let's hear what Rob has to say about it.
That's a good idea.
So this is just a 60-second blurb on what I thought was great about Lock of Colmar. As you can see, hopefully from the ASL map displayed, I really loved the fact that you attacked from two sides of the town. And not only did you have to attack through the town on the west, but you also had to head towards the overwatch position. And in my case, I put my armour down the bottom, attacking really more from the southeast to try and get into the south. Though I did end up bringing the Free French basically up into the eastern edge of the town. And it was only at the end that I tried to attack the centre of the town. The highlights for me was attacking the Panther in the northeast section, particularly when the Stug removed. I really put in a big effort there, 2 bazookas and 2 Shermans. I ended up not succeeding in getting the Panther, and the Panther was able to mobilise itself into a key position at the end of the game in the centre of the town. I was able to take the Overwatch position, more by luck with a successful sniper, and then really an ability then to just keep the pressure up and take the Overwatch position. In the west, it was the key loss of the 8-0 leader that led to, though, a battle, which I brought 2 Shermans into support, as I brought them in from the south and moved them straight into the battle in the west. I was unable to crack open the defence. And in the east, where the Free French really did get into the building and really assault those eastern positions, but held up by a really long melee. Despite the odds being in my favour, it took a couple of player turns to get through there. And really the last turn was characterised by the fact that I had to take the centre of the town. I threw everything I had at it, but some cruel tricks like a fortified building, which kept me out of a hex. I couldn't advance in to do close combat, as well as really the Stug was quite successful at keeping me at bay, and the final Sherman went down to a Panzerfaust. Overall, I love the game. So thanks again for letting me play this.
So thanks everyone for everybody who took part in that first round, the preliminary round. By the time you have seen this, you're now going to have your first round for those who are in the tournament. And again, for those that didn't quite make it, we will run another one of these as soon as we can, probably at the start of next year. So thank you again for the patrons that are in there. Talking of patrons, 3 new patrons, so two new ones and a returning one. So Grant Hewitt, Dirk Bejard, and Reed Hutchinson, who's come back again. Thank you guys. We really appreciate your support. I am giving the last warning to anybody who hasn't claimed a prize. Jonathan, I've sent your package off today, so yours is on the way. But anybody who hasn't claimed their prize, we're just going to give them away again. So guys, last chance now. Please give us a shout. If I've sent you an email, if you've seen yourself have received a prize and you haven't received it from me, or you haven't sent me your address, let me know. Otherwise, we're just going to give it away, because I've got so much stuff I've got to give it away. It's crazy. Talking of giving away, we are giving away the copy of the 2nd edition rulebook. Again, thank you to our anonymous donor for that. We had a great note from Steve, whose daughter Emma is playing. Here's a picture of Emma. She's playing a scenario here against her dad. It's a worthy winner. So Emma, we hope you enjoy your book. Maybe you'll be the next 1% of YouTube viewers.
Get all your young friends into ASL.
Should be the talk of the town, I'm sure. So we hope you enjoy it, and we'll look forward to hearing maybe some updates. And if you end up not using it, please pass it on to another newbie, and we'll pass on the message of ASLA like that. Next round of the Illuminating Rounds tournament, the first round, we are going to be playing. Well, I say we, you, Martin, and
many other successful players. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to be playing Point d'Appui from the GI. What are you saying? How you pronounce that? Point de Poix. I think it's Point d'Appui, but anyway, we can't. Anyway, Point d'Appui. I see what it said. Yes. I thought you was doing the point on the last part. Yes, you're right. Point
that would be point, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Right. Point d'Appui from the GI dozen. We love, by the way, what Rob did. If you want to give us a video of your quick overview, no more than a minute or two, but if you want to give us an overview of your game, we'll put it on the end of the games that we highlight as well. So please feel free to do that. I will send out the pairings. You have the entire month of April, so please schedule it in with your opponents, and we'll look forward to going through those games as soon as we can. Other than thanking our patrons again for all their support, we really appreciate that. Martin, anything else on your side?
Absolutely not. I think we covered it all.
Okay, well, Dave. Well done. Thank you for your tabletop talk. I enjoyed it, and looking forward to the next one. Other than that, I guess we'll see you again soon. All the best.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, Martin, what's your thoughts on the defence of this one? Martin? You still there? Not there? I can hear you. All right. Well, I guess thank you to everybody who had to take part in that preliminary round. Well done for those that got into the next round. By the time you see this, I will have sent out the emails for the next scenario and the first round. So you are going to be able to see that. Stop that. I messed up. Hang on.